What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Man of Mischief, episode 6. Welcome to Project Potter, guys. My name is Kyler, host. Welcome to the season 1 finale of Loki, guys. I did not know that we are getting a season 2 of Loki, so I thought this was the finale. Very happy with how it ended, that we were getting season 2. If you haven't seen the show before, guys, we're recapping every episode of Loki, the Disney Plus series. I'm giving it a kind of a recap. A Born to Rule award, which is my favorite character, a Get Help award, which is my least favorite character, score out of 10, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, guys, welcome back for the Loki season 1 finale. If you guys remember last time, Sylvie and Loki enchanted the Alioth, and then classic Loki died, glorious purpose, all that. Great episode. Love the episode. We see the castle, they go in there. They're going to find out what's at the end of time. Here we go. So this is going to be a quick recap, guys, because honestly, it's very dialogue heavy in this episode and not much. We didn't shift locations or anything, or there weren't any crazy like set piece moments or action pieces. So I'm going to probably do a very quick recap of this episode. So we pick up right where we left off. Loki and Sylvie go into the castle. It looks really awesome. It's like floating. But we do, guys, get the Marvel intro. It's so cool because it's like all of the best like MCU quotes. So it's like we get the classic Marvel Studios where it shows like, you know, Cap coming through, Iron Man coming through, Rocket, Thor, but it gives all of their best quotes where Cap says like, I could do this all day, and it's so awesome. I think there's a quote from WandaVision in there or later in the episode. It's really awesome. The quote from Vision where he says, "What is grief if not love persevering?" Just amazing. So we get all that, and then it kind of goes into the sacred timeline, which we find out is a real thing, and it's like this huge like floating circular thing. Just awesome. Looks like kind of like Rainbow Road from Mario, but just really cool. And there's like a floating castle, basically a citadel. It's like cracked all over it. Loki and Sylvie are going there, and you know, they take a moment outside the door, and Loki's like, "Are you okay?" And Sylvie's like, she's like, "I've been waiting for this moment my entire life." So she's like, "I just need a minute." Loki's like, "Understandable." And he's so polite with Sylvie, and they go in there, and like the camera turns a little bit, and they're wondering what's going on. Miss Minutes shows up, and Miss Minutes is like, "Hey, just so you know, he who remains is like happy with your progress." And they're like, "He who remains, who is that?" Miss Minutes doesn't tell us anything, but. And we're like, "All right, Miss Minutes, there's something off about you." We're like, I don't know. But Miss Minutes tries to be like, you know, everything that's going to happen, this blah, blah, blah. We knew this was going to happen, all this stuff. But she's like, she's like, "Loki, how would you like to defeat Thanos?" She's like, "How would you like to win the Battle of New York?" She's like, "Would you like to rule Asgard?" She's like, "He can do all of that for you." And Loki's like, "What?" And I was like, "Bro, you're gonna have Loki kill Thanos?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, this is crazy." But eventually Loki and Sylvie go in there, and we get our introduction, or at least a variant of Kang the Conqueror, which was like heavily rumored, so this wasn't really a surprise, but played by Jonathan Majors, I believe, and he crushed this role. I mean, he's super charismatic, he's really zany. We find out, guys, that he's been in this castle at the end of time, or the Citadel, for eons, and with no one else. He's eating like an apple, and he's like, "Come on in." And Sylvie tries to attack him a couple times, and he like warps out of the way. And eventually they go down there, and the majority of the episode is him sitting like at this desk and telling them, you know, like, "I know everything that's going to happen. Like, I've seen everything. I've been in all the situations." It reminds me of like Doctor Strange with his head going all crazy. They're like, "No, you're just lying." And then he like prints out, he's got the printout like the TVA did, where it's like, "You're just lying." And it's like, oh. So Loki and Sylvie sit down, and that is like, guys, the majority of the episode. Again, it's very dialogue heavy. I'm not really going to recap it. We get a quick scene where Mobius goes back to the TVA, and Ravona's there, and he's like, "You're not going to like me," or whatever. And Mobius is like, "Oh, I'm going to fight Ravona." And he's got the prune stick, and she's like, "What are you going to do, prune me?" And he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, that's what you like to do," or whatever. And then she just easily like takes the stick from him. It's really awkward. But they have a really great conversation where he says like, you know, "Why do you keep correcting the timeline?" She's like, "Well, without that, there's going to be chaos." And he's like, "What, you mean free will?" He's like, "The timekeepers are fake." He's like, "It's all a lie. We're all variants. Like, Mobius knows the truth now." And Ravona's like, "Yeah, but," she's like, "No, we got to keep the timeline safe, whatever." And she's like, "Oh, I don't even think she knows about Kang the Conqueror, because Miss Minutes delivers like a file to her later, and She's like, this isn't what I ordered. And she's like, yeah, but this is what he wants you. He thinks this would be more useful. And she's like, who's he? And I'm like, oh, so Ravonna has no idea what's going on. But yeah, eventually she opens up a time portal, and Mobius is like, where are you going? Because she doesn't prune him. And she says, going to look for free will. So that was a quick scene. Enjoy the episode, guys. Is King the Conqueror, and he's really, really awesome. Jonathan Majors is great in this role. He's really zany. He's like all-knowing, all-powerful, but he says like the TVA is real. They're doing a great job. Everything is kept in place. He's like, I've been pulling all the strings, basically. This is tough because I really like Jonathan Majors in this character, and I really love the way this episode ends. But I wasn't crazy about this episode. So, like I said, guys, it's going to be a very quick recap because that's pretty much what happened the entire time. But Kang says you have a choice. You can kill me, and he's basically like, the multiverse is going to fucking explode. And he's like, there's going to be so many branches, and anything can happen, and there's going to be variants, and all that stuff. He's like, or you guys could take over the sacred timeline. He's like, I've thought about who's going to take over for so long, and he's like, I've handpicked you guys. He's like, you guys are the ones to do it. And they're like, Loki's like, why would you just give up control? And he's like, look, I have been here for a fucking long time, Loki. He's like, bro, you know how many apples I've eaten? Like fucking millions. So he's like, yeah, you kill me and shit goes crazy, or you take over. And I don't know what Kang would have done if he just left or whatever, but eventually Loki and Sylvie like get in a fight because it turns out that they want two different things. And Loki's like, wait, all this time? He's like, how can you want the throne, blah blah blah. They get in a fight again, guys. Sorry if I'm butchering it, but I'm not going to recap every dialogue scene, but just the big points. And so Loki basically, like, she goes after Kang at the last second, and Loki like appears, and he's like, Sylvie, stop. He's like, stop. And he's like, all I want for you is to be safe. And she's like, yeah, and that's why we're different or whatever. And she fucking kicks him. She uses like, Kang has like a wrist, like a watch basically, but it's like a time portal thing. And so she uses that to kick him into what we find out is another reality. It's not the Mobius he knows. And she fucking breaks up with him basically. And she's like, oh, she wants to kill him for the life that was taken from her. And Loki's like, no. Like, he even says to her, like, what if we do this and it breeds something much worse than Kang? And she's like, no, it's not going to happen. And so, yeah, she kicks him to the TVA, and Loki's feeling sad. And then Sylvie, like, pushes the desk away, and Kang, there's an awesome part where Kang says, I know everything that's going to go on. Why can I, like, move around and avoid your attacks? He's like, because I've seen everything. Again, just like Doctor Strange. And then there's, like, thunder, or I think it's thunder, but they go, like, the sacred timeline is floating around them, and they, like, push through the timeline, so the Citadel's, like, moving. And I don't know if this was like a Nexus event or what happened, but it goes through, and it zooms in on him, and he hears the thunder, and he's like, oh. And he's like, we have crossed the threshold. He's like, I knew everything up to a certain point. He's like, I now have no idea what's going to happen. I'm like, oh, this is really cool, because he's like, he knows exactly everything that's going to happen up to this point, dude. But then he's like a kid in a candy shop, where he's like, I don't know what's going to happen now. And so Sylvie, after she throws Loki into the TVA, into a different TVA, she clears the desk away, and he's like, ooh. He's like, exciting. And she's like, aren't you going to beg for your life? And he's like, no. He's like, I'll see you soon. He talks about like resurrection. And Sylvie stabs him, and he sits there. And then like Sylvie like sits down, and basically Sylvie creates the multiverse, dude. Or not creates the multiverse, but the Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange movie, dude. She's responsible for that, because we see this happen. Loki goes back, and he was like, we see all the branches going back at the TVA, and it's just like, it's really, really cool visually, because the timeline around them like branches off, and then like branches upon branches, and it's just, you can tell everything's haywire. And so Loki, back at the TVA, which he thinks is his TVA, he's walking through the library, and he finds Hunter B-15 and Mobius, and he's like, guys, he's like, we messed up. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean you messed up? And he's like, we found the guy at the end of time, Kang, and so he's like, she killed him, and now like there's variants upon variants. There's like a bunch of like extinction level events basically coming for us, and he's like, they're all ready for war. He's like, we need to be prepared. And Owen Wilson, or Mobius, is like, wait, who are you? And I was like, oh shit. So Sylvie didn't send him back to their timeline. Sylvie sent him back to, whether intentionally or not, another TVA, which is cool. It looks the same, which I thought was a little weird, but obviously to mislead us. And so this Mobius and this Hunter B-15 have never met this Loki. And so they're like, who the hell are you? And they obviously don't recognize Loki or anything, so they're like, what the fuck is going on? And Loki is like, oh shit. And then he turns over and he looks, and instead of the 3 Timekeeper statue, it's a Kang the Conqueror statue, and it's just him, and I'm like, wow, dude. So killing Kang actually fucking, like, branched everything off, so that's crazy, and that's pretty much how the episode ends. Okay, guys, albeit a quick recap, the Born to Rule award for me today, it's got to go to Kang the Conqueror. Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. He was awesome. He was zany. He was crazy. He spoke intelligently. We haven't seen this character in the MCU before, and so I know he was a variant. So we don't know if how much different he's gonna look. He's supposed to be. This was pretty obvious because he was already confirmed to be in Ant-Man 3, which is Quantumanium or whatever. So that makes perfect sense. But I kind of wish we didn't hear that before, because I would have loved to be like, who the fuck is this guy, or who the fuck is Kang the Conqueror? But because I had like read articles about it, or just even like fan theories, it was so obvious it was gonna be Kang that I was like, oh, okay, like. It was so cool, but I was just like, yeah, everyone knew this was coming. So, and I know in WandaVision there was like, it's gonna be Mephisto, and we never got Mephisto. Well, Loki was like, we're gonna get Kang. But yeah, I thought he was awesome, dude. The only thing is that I think the scene where he talks to Sylvie and Loki, which is most of it, I think it went on a little too long. Where like I didn't feel like there were enough stakes in that scene. Where it didn't feel. I kind of felt like some crazy shit was about to go down, but then like nothing really happened, and I was just waiting. And it was cool when he said like we crossed the threshold, but I don't know. But the character Kang, this version of Kang, where they're like, who are you? And he's like, oh, some call me He Who Remains. He's like the Conqueror. He like makes these like, he basically puts on like a fucking PowerPoint presentation through this like goop or whatever that he puts on the table, and it like forms into people, and it's really cool. He talks about the all-out war, basically how variants were fighting other variants. Really, really awesome stuff. But yeah, his character was awesome. So I'm considering I didn't care about Kang the Conqueror at all. I don't know if we'll see like a serious version of him in Ant-Man, or if it's going to be like closer to this version. I'm assuming this is like a crazy version. He'll be more serious, but I really, really love the idea of that. So. Jonathan Majors just killed it, and as someone who didn't care about Kang at all, I'm now very interested in that character, and excited to see where he goes next. Okay, guys, my Get Help award for this one, I'm gonna give it to Sylvie actually, because she was so like, I understand that they went there and she wanted revenge and all that, but Loki talks to her. They also kiss, which I didn't mention, but then it's almost like a kiss of betrayal, because they kiss and then she kicks him out right after. So it's like, I think Sylvie was just using Loki, so I'm pretty sure Sylvie betrayed Loki, which is so sad. And it's like, you knew, since they're both Lokis, that they can't trust anyone, but should have seen that coming. But you just think that like they were building up this relationship, and then she kind of just throws it away. I just thought it was weird. She was so hell-bent on revenge, but Loki tells her literally like, what if this is way worse? If we kill him and it fucking explodes everything, and there's multiverses and shit, and you'd think after everything they learned about the Alioth and the different time zones and missed minutes, and you think all that shit that like blew their mind, you'd think that she would know. He's like, yo, we shouldn't just kill this dude because shit is gonna go crazy. And she's like, fuck it. She's like, I am gonna kill him. And I was just like, that just felt a little one-dimensional to me. I don't know. It was just, I really liked her character in this series, but looking back, it's like, what was the point of her bombing the timeline? At the time, that felt like a huge event, like monumental, like, oh shit, like how the end of this felt with the multiverses exploding stuff. Maybe that was foreshadowing, but her dropping the timeline bombs and remember, she was like collecting the reset bombs or whatever, and they were hunting the variant Loki, and then that kind of just stopped, and I was just like, oh, what? If I don't know, I got a lot of thoughts, but I thought she was just the weakest one in the finale. Okay, guys, the score for this one, I gotta be honest, I love the way it ended. Like, setting up the multiverse shit, that's so cool. Like, if this show is nothing else but just like a deeper character dive into Loki, but also just like setting up multiverse shit, that's awesome, and like I'm all about that. at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I felt very. I just felt like I don't want to say disappointed because Kang was awesome, but they just meant way. I was expecting more from a finale. Like I don't know, and I know that like WandaVision finale was okay, and I really liked Falcon Winter Soldier finale, but like for me, Loki, I was like I don't know. It just they went to the castle and I was like oh cool, and then Jonathan Majors shows up and I was like oh that must be Kang, and then I was like is this guy just a decoy because he seems like a decoy. But then he just kept going, and I liked his character a lot. But I was also like, "This is the big bad." Like Loki says, he's like, "You're just a man," and I don't know. I'd like to know more. Obviously, he tells a story about how like a variant of him was a scientist, and he discovered like quantum mechanics or whatever. So he discovered time travel, and that's why this is all possible. So that's cool. But I don't know. I just like they go to the castle and it's Kang's castle and that's cool, but it's also like it was so hard for them to get there, and then for him to be like yeah I control everything, but also like he had like no security or anything, or he didn't fight back, or there's no defense or puzzles they had to go through. It's kind of weird. This one I think honestly is the weakest one of the series, and if it wasn't for the very end I wouldn't be super excited. There is a Loki season 2, so I'm so excited about that, and I think it was a very strong season overall. But this one, guys, it's a 7-4 for me. I wasn't crazy about this one. I was expecting a lot, and then I was like waiting and waiting, and I was like, okay, well, shit's gonna pop off now, or this is gonna be awesome. There weren't really any like wow moments in here for me. Maybe the end, but like I as an individual episode, I don't like this one nearly as much. They took the Loki theme music out of the opening. They did put it in when Kang was explaining a little bit, so that was cool. But like that mystical music is always cool. The music that they used at the end with Loki when he's in the TVA library was awesome. That was really really cool. But I don't know. It's my least favorite episode of the 6 episodes of season 1, and I don't think it's quite stuck the landing like I would have hoped it did. Okay, guys, that's another episode of Man of Mischief. That is it for season 1. So, again, I'm a little down on the finale. I know a lot of people that really loved it, so I might be the outlier there. That's okay. But I am not crazy about this episode, but I'm very excited about the ramifications. And now we're leading into like Spider-Man Far From Home, or No Way Home, sorry. So, like, I'm excited for that. Obviously, the big movie is going to be Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Madness, and then Ant-Man, but Doctor Strange is the first one. I think it's going to be like crazy shit happening about. There's like rumors of all the Spider-Men being in what's it called, No Way Home. So now it's like if we're just going along the timeline, it's like Sylvie has just launched the multiverse and the Multiverse of Madness basically. And so not only obviously Doctor Strange movie is going to deal with that, but like now it's like it basically if they're following the timeline, there's going to be so many variants of any character. Basically they can do whatever the hell they want now. If they want to bring in the freaking X-Men, they can do that. If they want to bring in Deadpool, they can do that, which I'm sure they're going to be doing. Deadpool just released like a video with Korg in it, which is awesome. Or Ryan Reynolds, I should say. And it's just like, now that the multiverse is open and fucking blown open, anything can happen. So I really, really like that. And it's a great season overall. I wish they would have ended. I just wish there was more happening in the final episode. Like the end result was cool, but yeah, I don't know. There wasn't like a crazy visual moment or a crazy like wow chills moment in this one, and I had that for all the other episodes. So I'm maybe just expecting too much. But thank you guys for checking out Man of Mischief. We will return for season 2. Season 2 probably won't be until I was reading articles like 2023 earliest, which sucks. So we're gonna have time off between then, but we'll probably be reviewing the MCU movies in between. We will be back at the MCU couch, or the chair, I should say for sure. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for season 1 of Man of Mischief. I've had a blast watching this. All 3 Disney Plus shows have been so good, I think. And I think, personally, this one was crazy. I like the ramifications, like I've said a million times. Overall, as a series, I would rather rewatch Falcon Winter Soldier because I just like those characters more, and I love Cap, and I love Anthony Mackie. But this one obviously has bigger implications, so I'm really glad that these Disney Plus series are having like real implications, and now I'm like way more excited for the MCU movies than I already would have been. So really good. Check out the other content on the channel, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell notification, and until next time, for all time, always.